Dianne, I understand you have had a form of spiritual experience, something like I've put on my own website about, some parallel to what I've done myself. I have that right, do I not?
Yes,
All
that's
right.
correct.
Why don't you describe this experience? What happened? Just tell us about it.
Well, I've had experiences throughout my life, but the one that I'm about to describe, it was phenomenal even by my standards. I was sleeping, and I was at a retreat, and it was a wonderful atmosphere. It was a meditation retreat, and I woke up in the middle of the night. It was dark, and one of my young roommates was up late typing on her computer. But I woke up because my heart was just pounding and I was sweating, and I had this funny feeling, and I thought I was dying, um, because this feeling, funny, it was phenomenal. It was beyond anything I've ever experienced, and it was absolutely glorious. And I thought, if this is death, then I don't know why I've been putting it off. It's really fabulous, but maybe I'm not dead because I see my roommate. And it went on, and it was like love for everything and everybody, every. It was just, it's just really hard to explain because it was so all encompassing. I just felt as if my whole being had dissolved into something much larger than me, and that larger thing was absolute, total love beyond anything I ever knew. It was wonderful.
And what's interesting is I've had my own experience, and I've had other people discuss their experiences with me. They
Hmm.
almost always use a phrase like there was nothing but love, or they will use a phrase like I feel so protected, so safe, like there was nothing else. You didn't say it, but some people would say like I was one with everything.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant by dissolving into it all. I was just love and lost the sense of meanness.
Yes. Interesting. Yes. Let me ask you, in that state, if you could recreate it and be there permanently, okay, would disease be possible?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Okay. What about death? You thought you were dying, you said, so.
Yeah, I was ready. If that's what it was, I surely wanted that. No, I
Well,
don't think it's possible to die or to have a body to be diseased.
yeah.
It was all gone.
It was without a body.
Hmm.
The
Even though I could see my roommate.
yeah, using the body's eyes, I presume.
Yes.
Okay. But the awareness of your body, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but was there awareness of your body, or explain that?
Well, what I eventually did was decide that this is so fantastic that I don't want to lose even an instant. So I wanted to close my eyes and just let it take me.
Yeah.
And no, there was no sense of body. No, there was nothing but this glorious, wonderful thing. Occasionally, like a thought went through is, how long do I get to be this way?
Yes.
And could I make this happen for me again if I don't, if it goes away, or for somebody else? And then I just let those thoughts go through so I could continue to feel it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as you may know, I'm developing something on our website called Optimal EFT,
Hmm.
and its purpose is to try to develop ways for you and I and anybody else who's interested
Hmm.
to get to that state more and more often, hopefully permanently. I mean, because that would be that if we got there permanently, the thing that you and I experienced, although somewhat differently, was still essentially the same thing. If we got there permanently, that would be called enlightenment, I believe. Would you agree with that?
Well, um, enlightenment has been so used that I hate to even limit it with that word.
Yes,
Um,
yes. Okay.
because I do meditate, I am able to get to a place which is completely free and completely without stress, without pressure, all the time, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
This was light years beyond that. I'm not sure that I could actually function as a human in that state. That's how profound it was. This is
Yes.
this is not anything. This thinking about this and wanting this to be a part of my life is certainly nothing new. And yes, I would love 24 hours a day of what I do in meditation. I slip in and out of it, and I try not to worry about being on some sort of linear progression. I'm getting stronger and better with it every day. But yeah, I would love to be there. I would, if I never saw my children, my mother, my anything, any of the people that I care for, any of the life I care for, if I never could interact with them again, it would be worth it. That's how profound it was.
Okay, good. And let me pick up on that if I may. One of the findings of quantum physics is that there is no such thing as separation. There is no such thing as time. There is no such thing as space, even though our senses tell us otherwise. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get to this particular state, where it's all one and there is no separation, are you really leaving what we would call our loved ones on this plane behind?
I've thought about that a lot because this experience, as I said, it just threw me in a wonderful way. I don't know that I got enough time to get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
My experience as I do my meditation, or even as we speak right this moment, is that I am at one with the world. Now, granted, I'm not in this, I have to remind myself to come to it at this point in my development. In that sense, I'm completely aware that there's no separation. My husband recently died, and although my heart is broken and I miss him terribly, I'm aware of his presence in some way I can't really define. And that part makes me glad that he's not in pain anymore and that he's with his Marines.
Mm-hmm. One of the experiences I had, I'm speaking from myself now. If you had the same thing, comment on it or not, as the case may be, okay? But when I was in that state, looking back at the state we're in right now, that is, we seem to be in separate bodies on a planet, and all the stuff of the world, if you will. It seemed to me when I was in that state, that state, the other state, the beyond all that state, was the true reality. That was our true reality. This state here, running around in separate bodies, is something like a dream, an illusion, a mistake. Now, that's how I took it. What do you think about that?
To be honest, I've thought that since I was a small child.
Uh-huh.
I thought, why are all these people doing these things?
Yes.
Why? This doesn't make sense to me. Why do I feel like, why should I do this? What for? I've felt a lot of trouble integrating what I was experiencing with what other people were doing.
Yes.
And,
okay.
I know that that's actually not so abnormal, but for me it was so intense that I really ended up being really depressed through my teenage years. I just didn't understand it. It was that world and this world.
Yes.
So, yes, reality for me now, I am able to integrate that, and it's okay. Everything's, even bad things, I can accept and recognize that they are part of an illusion, that there's something much larger than that.
I think as you were a youngster, somehow or other, or as we were youngsters, somehow or other, I was a lot more glued to this world than you were, because the world around me, that was just really reality. I didn't really get to this other realization until I had my 1988 experience. It's parallels what you do. But
And I understand it comes when you're ready.
and what do you say to somebody who's never experienced that? I mean, there'll be people who'll be looking at this whole idea of this thing beyond that which is beyond our senses. What do you say to somebody who's never experienced that, has no real tangible clue or experience that it exists, other than just in the academic sense? What do you say to them that might bring them along towards that realization?
What my experience has been is that the great majority of people don't experience this or don't acknowledge that they experience it. Um, since I've become a teacher of Shaya meditation, people do ask me about that. And there are a lot of different things that I can say. And one is like, imagine the stars in the night sky, and it's a beautiful, fantastic night, and there are all these stars there.
Mm-hmm.
What would it be if the stars went out? Or if the stars all fell out? Would there still be a night sky? And that just, the reason for saying that is there's something that's there all the time, always, but our focus is just in a different place. When we look at the night sky, we look at the stars.
Yes.
But it's really the whole, everything else is always there. Even when the stars or the earth moves,
Yes.
those things are still there.
In a way, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what comes up for me when I hear that is you're looking up at the night sky and your senses have distracted you from what's really there. You see the pretty stars.
Mm-hmm.
Your eyes distract you from the trueness of what is actually there. Mm-hmm. Just as on planet Earth, if you see somebody misbehaving, betraying, committing some kind of a crime, or perpetrating some evil thing on someone else, our eyes and our senses see that. It distracts us from the love that's overriding all of it. And we don't see this misbehavior as being an illusion. We see it as real reality. And it says to us, danger, danger, danger. We've got to be cautious. We've got to be aware and beware of other people. We have to, put a fence around ourselves for protection, so to speak. Because all of that distracts us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those are kind of my words, but give me your thoughts on that.
Oh, absolutely. I taught art for about 20 years to kids who didn't really want to learn.
Yeah.
And one of the things we talked about is, you could draw objects on a piece of paper, hold a piece of paper out. But one of the most important things about a composition is going to be you have a foreground and a background. That doesn't go away. In this case, it's a sheet of paper or a canvas or whatever it is. It's exactly the same thing. It all depends on where you want to put your focus. If you want to focus on the bad person, you can do that. If you want to focus on the bigger picture of we are all one and we are all filled with love and this is just an illusion acting out, you can do that too.
And what's interesting, thank you for that. What's interesting in that is yes, you can focus on what you want. In fact, there's a little phrase in pop psychology that says you get what you focus on. Whatever you focus on is real for you. Okay, but when you see some misbehavior, to use our example, your senses focus on it. You're seeing and hearing and feeling things about this misbehavior, this bad thing, and the only way you have of focusing is to use your senses, because your senses supposedly tell you what's real in this world. If you're going to focus on love or the bigger reality, your senses aren't designed for that. You have to see that with some other facility. Now, comment on that, would you?
Okay, two things. One is when I taught junior high, there was a lot of misbehavior.
Yeah.
And one of the things I decided when I first began teaching is that I was going to deal with each student as who they really were and not who I saw in that little body that's developing. And it took some practice to remember when I was about to pull my hair out, oh, I'm forgetting that they're just doing something. They're not that. You know, it's just a behavior. And I try to treat the situation accordingly rather than your natural instinct might be to, don't do that. You're such a hellion.
Yeah, yeah, right.
But it takes a constant reminder and training to be able to do that. And I have to admit that for me, it was much better with children because I could see that they have a whole future ahead. And I was a little less tolerant of adults.
Yes. Okay.
But my second point came when I learned meditation. And that was when you do the meditation techniques and you do them regularly, which for what we teach is 20 minutes 3 times a day to begin, you start to, that comes by itself. You don't really even have to do anything because what you're learning to do is be present with everything. And even in that short period of time, you learn over, it usually takes about 6 weeks to really see the benefits, but you start to be able to respond to people in that way. So I'm hoping that by continuing this, I'll get better and better, and hoping that other people will want to do something that can take them there as well.
Well, what's interesting is you're talking about a form of practice, and you use meditation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of ways to do this. I happen to be an avid student of A Course in Miracles. Are you familiar with it?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. Now, it has a series of lessons in there, one lesson a day for a year. And while it doesn't call them meditations, many of them do have you put you in a meditative state. But the purpose there is more to blank your mind totally from all of the inputs of the outside world. In other words, to go get your senses out of the way is another way to say that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can do that, and that's easier said than done.
Yes, I know.
When you can do that, then there's nothing left but that state.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a matter of how much can we get out of the way in doing that. And one of the things that I've been experimenting with some is to use EFT to get me to the better depth of this these lessons within A Course in Miracles. Mm-hmm. And so, I'll start doing it, and, my mind goes all kind of, I got my list of things to do, and my ego's in the way, and, why am I doing this? And all this stuff comes up, okay? And so out of a 10-minute practice, maybe I get 30 seconds of the real stuff, okay? And I just tiptoe into it. But I'm finding if I will do a little EFT, and so even though, a really simple EFT, even though I'm not able to get my stuff out of the way, I deeply, completely accept myself, getting my stuff out of the way, etc. Deeper meditation, etc. And aim it like that. Now I'm finding that when I do these lessons, I can get into it a little deeper and a little longer each time. And so EFT can now be an aid, a tool, if you will, towards gaining this state. Now, have you ever tried that?
Actually, interesting you should ask. The other night, I was doing the EFT on something completely different. It actually was something that's really a difficulty now as I'm in my period of mourning, and I have things that I have to do, and my heart is just not in it. And so I thought, okay, well, this will help. And I did that maybe 5 minutes. I did different things on some stuff I wanted to do. And then I wanted to do my meditation, and I closed my eyes and I thought, wow, I'm already here. I'm already in this wonderful place without, some days are better than others in every practice, but it was much, it was much deeper and much more stable,
Yes.
having done the ETF first.
Yeah.
So I want to experiment with that every day because I think it can work for me. I know it works. So I want to experiment and see what happens that I might show others.
Yes, and I'm going to be developing a number of tools along this regard
Hmm.
to help those who are really interested in going this direction to get
Hmm.
them further and further along the path. I mean, I would love to be able to see everybody. I mean, this is kind of a lofty goal. I'm not even sure we can achieve it, but we can at least approach it, and that's important. That we
Hmm.
get everybody into that state you and I have been into, that ultimate state,
Hmm.
more and more often, even be able to call it up like that, like that. I mean, you've got to go into a meditative state to get a portion of that, if I understood what you said before.
No, no, I can do it now,
You can
anytime.
you can get
But
into that full state you talked about.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
I've never gotten back there
Okay, that's
again.
what I'm talking about.
Okay. I
But
would love to.
okay, when I say you get partly there, or however I said that,
Yeah.
in your meditation, you get to a great place, but it's
Hmm.
not to this greater place yet.
Right.
And I'm talking about getting to this greater place more often, being able to get it to it with more ease, and even getting to the place where it's there permanently at our choice.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, great, huge, lofty goal, I understand.
Yeah.
Nobody may ever get there, including myself.
Hmm.
But if we can approach it, if we only get 10% of that, that's stunning, is it not?
Sure.
You know?
Really stunning.
Yeah. So
You
that's
get
the
1%, it's likely to be stunning.
yeah. The getting back to A Course in Miracles for a second, and getting back to the topic we had just a few minutes ago about how you get your senses out of the way so you can focus on the true love that overrides everything.
Hmm.
A Course in Miracles uses a term called vision, and
Hmm.
it doesn't mean vision like with the eyes.
Hmm.
It's another kind of vision. Some people might call it the third eye vision, but it's a vision of somebody where you see, but not really with the eyes. You just recognize nothing but the light in them, and all this other misbehavior, and even the fact that there's some kind of a separated body that seems to be other than you or separated from you. It just becomes washed out, and there's only this connection between us, which is only love. There's nothing in that thing but love. It calls it vision, but defines it differently. Any thoughts on that?
I have met people who I believe have that. Only a couple. And they ask me sometimes, did you see that? And I say, no, I don't seem to be able to see things, but I feel things. Like sometimes it's a really kind of a dramatic transfer. But I think that they do see what you're talking about. And it feels more like a vision.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because our senses,
They're probably not involved at all.
well, our senses are actually in the way.
Yes.
They are showing us something that we have to pay attention to. You know,
Hmm.
our senses are how we get around this world, this dreamlike world, this illusion that we're in. But if you were to no longer pay your electric bill just because it's an illusion, you got some problems in this dream, do you not?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
You have to figure out a way to do both things,
Yeah,
to live in both worlds.
yes, and eventually get to one world, the
Hmm.
other one. So I mean, anyway, that's
It's pretty
that's
hard to talk about.
I know, but that's why we're doing it, because there's a lot of people who haven't been where you and I have been,
Hmm.
and so they're listening in to what you and I are saying, and they're picking up from it whatever they can pick up, and hopefully they are motivated. So,
Well, sometimes I tell people, because a lot of people ask me, I live down here in Hickville, and a lot
uh,
of people ask me if, what do you do that stuff for? Of course, they have some imaginary thing as to what I'm doing, but you know, I can tell them, do you know how it feels when you look in the eyes of your new grandchild or your child and you lose track of all space and time and all you feel is love? It's that. I want to be there all the time. Don't you
Yes,
like that place?
yes,
And then they can respond to it,
yeah,
or that time when you were playing football or, which is really big here,
uh-huh.
or basketball, and then you felt yourself do these things, but you weren't really involved. It's that. I want to be there where you're not trapped in that. You feel it, but it's just that wonderful feeling. So that's how I communicate it to them on a more direct level.
Yes, okay. Deanna, very, very nice. I really appreciate you spending the time with us so we could share all of this, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to get some really good benefits out of your wisdom and experiences. So I want to give you a big thank you.
Oh, well, I've enjoyed talking to you. This is wonderful.